Greetings, nerdlings. I'm trying something new. I'm recording this vid with OBS. As you can see, I just dragged OBS onto the screen and it infinitely goes into the background because it's OBS recording OBS. But that's not what I wanted this vid to be about. This vid is something kind of cheeky. I'm going to presume something about anybody who's watching this vid. I'm going to presume you're new to World of Warcraft. I'm going to presume you don't use add-ons, because I've recently met somebody who I've had some great times in game with, and I had great conversations with, and we did some awesome things like old school raids and dungeons, and I got an epic rare mount from one of the really old, the Burning Crusade raids. But they admitted to me they don't use any add-ons whatsoever. Whereas, just let me show you my list of add-ons. I'll drag it onto the screen. There we go. Full screen it. So, and it keeps on going, and every so often I add more to the list. Now, some of these add-ons, I should actually probably bring that back up and do something with the camera. There we go. That's a bit better. Alright. Some of these add-ons are just parts of an actual add-on, so I'm not actually using as many add-ons as it looks like I'm using. For example, I'll sort them by add-on type. Right. These three: Akis recipe list, Akis recipe list leatherworking, Akis recipe list quick scan. Right. Those were to help me figure out why I wasn't learning new recipes on my leatherworking on my main character. But as you can see by the fact that they're all called Akis, they are all pretty much the same add-on. That's the main one. That one specifically gives me the leatherworking. I should probably add in something else once I get a character. Well, other skills once I get a character up to date on those skills, because I only have one character that's maxed out on any of the profession skills. There we have one of my favourite ones called Oxygenator. This one I could live with or without. Same with that one, really. I'm pretty sure I use it, but it's something that I don't notice because it's that kind of an add-on. It just gives you stuff that feels natural. It gives you settings that used to be in the game and are no longer in the game. And because I've been playing it for a long time, it just feels natural to me. If you only started playing WoW and you add in that, at first it'll be weird, and then you'll get used to it and it'll just feel natural, like it's part of the actual game. It's not going to affect how you play the game at all. In fact, virtually none of these affect how you actually play the game. Right? They don't actually change the game itself. They just give you information that is readily available to you in any way, but it makes it easier to get this information so that you don't have to go looking for it. So that one there, all played, gives me the amount of time I've spent playing the game totaled up across all of my characters. AutoRepair is very simple. It means the minute I go to an NPC vendor who can actually repair gear, it's automatically done as long as I have the money for it. Bad Pet was something I got so that I'd know when my pet is when I've forgotten to have my pet stop grabbing aggro, basically. I'm not going to explain what aggro is. That's not what this is about. This is about add-ons. Okay? So, and I should probably say, this vid series, and it will be a series, it's just going to be an intermittent series, as in I'm not sure when and how often vids like this will pop up. They'll pop up as I feel the need to make one, or as I want to make one, and I just wanted to do this one. It's going to be called "Wow, you're such a noob." Right? So, bad pet also notifies me when somebody else's pet is taking aggro from the tank, and it notifies them. It sends them an in-game whisper, so a private message. So I'm not saying to the entire dungeon or the entire raid that this person's doing something stupid or anything like that. I'm letting them know. It's automatically done. I don't even notice it happening. Afterwards, I will notice I've whispered somebody that I didn't realise I'd whispered and be wondering who the fuck that is. But then I realise when I look at the message, wait, yeah, that was that dungeon I did. Right. This one basically just gives me a little bar across the top that when I mouse over the top of my game, it gives me more information, such as the recipe list and a couple of other things. That one, to be honest, I'm not really sure what it does, but that's because, again, it's something that I knew what it did when I got it. Actually, give us a look. It'll say, display info on pet battle tooltip during fight. Alright. Display info in pet cage tooltip. Display info in item and hyperlink tooltip. Display info in minimap tooltip. Colored string based on best quality. Oh, basically, the battle pets thing in the game, or as I like to call it, World of Warcraft Pokemon Edition. Basically, it lets me know which pets once I get into a battle I've already caught and what quality they are. So it'll actually tell me I've got this level of that pet, and it'll say it in the colour of them, and the max colour is blue. I can't remember what the different colours stand for really, but blue is the best kind that you can get, as far as I'm aware, unless they finally released purple or legendary ones, which are epic, which is purple, or legendary, which is orange ones, which you can fight in the game, but you can't catch because they're not wild. But basically gives me more information about that. Console port was one that I was messing around with that allows me to use a controller to play WoW. Coordinates gives me literally coordinates for for where I am, so that I can look up, if I'm stuck in a quest, I can look it up and see, wait, this item I'm looking for, it's at these it's in a cave, the entrance to the cave is at these coordinates, head that direction. And I figure out where I'm going from there. Because sometimes the built-in tracker is absolutely useless. It'll give you a general area and go, right, it's here somewhere. But it doesn't tell you it's in a cave. It just marks on the map an area. And if it's in a cave, there's always an above that cave. So I could be standing on top of... I could be standing on the ground on top of that cave, and it will still say I'm in the right spot. Alright, sorry, I was just checking how long I've been recording for. Deadly Boss Mods is a recommended thing. It basically gives you information about what to do in a dungeon or a raid. It'll tell you that this boss is about to bring in help and that you should switch targets and that they're going to do an attack and you should probably be careful. For example, there is one boss, I can't remember what, it's a Naga, it's in the Eye of Azshara dungeon. I think that's what it's called. I'm crap with remembering the names of these things. But there's a Naga in that dungeon who, when you fight her, she uses electric attacks. Now, one of the attacks, you must stand on one of the little bits of land that is sticking up out of the water. For the other attack, you have to stand in the water. Deadly Boss Mods tells me that this attack is about to happen to get onto land, or that attack's about to happen to get into the water. So it helps you survive the fight. It doesn't tell you what direction to go, it's up to you. And it doesn't point out the land to you. It just says get onto land. So just helps out a little bit. I'm sure eventually Blizz will block it from working. And they're all just additional information for the things. That's for Vanilla and Burning Crusade, Mists of Pandaria, Warlords of Draenor, Wrath of the Lich King. Wait, I don't have a Legion one? Better fix that. So I'll show you now how to find these things. By the way, I will link the Curse client in the description below. There is no Legion one. Huh. Oh wait, the DBM is always the one that is up to date. The others are just for the older dungeons. Now I remember. Right. The cursive is basically for anyone that's healing. It gives you a little box on the screen. Tiny little thing. Barely noticeable. The first time you see it, you'll probably be wondering what it is. There'll be one box for each person in your dungeon or your raid, and if they get basically cursed, well, not cursed, if they get poisoned or anything like that, that you can actually heal them of it, not just regen their health, but you can remove the curse, or, well, the poison or whatever. You click the box, it will cast your spell automatically on that person. I haven't used it in a dungeon, but it comes in handy when I get cursed, because the box changes colour. Green means you're not poisoned, red means you are, and it will actually make a sound. I can't remember what the sound actually is, but it will make a sound. Right. Here we have my favourite mod, or add-on, not mod. Sorry, mods are illegal, add-ons are not. LVUI location lights, which is basically the same as coords, but it's got a bit more information to it. And why do I have 3 coords add-ons? Yeah, I'm going to delete that one. Right. So, sticking with that, Ferma is a great one. It gives me extra taskbars, I suppose you could call them. I can't think of what to call them. I'm going to call them taskbars, right? But basically, they look a lot like the built-in ones to the game, but you can control how many of them there are. You cannot map spells to them. You can only add items to them, and it'll keep track of how many of that item you have. For example, I'm leveling a paladin at the moment. The paladin is learning mining and tailoring. So I have farm tabs open, and they're keeping track of all the cloth I find, all the ore I mine, and all the ingots I smelt, because smelting is part of the mining rather than the blacksmithing. So it's keeping track of all that. And you can even set goals. So for example, if I want to farm 600 iron ore, I mouse over the farm it thing, it'll give me the instructions in a little information window that just pops up only when you've moused over it. I follow those instructions. I type in how much I want to find. I type in how much of this thing I want to farm, and when I reach that, it'll make the same sound that you get when you complete a quest, because you've basically set this as your personal quest to get that much of this item, which I find quite handy on my main, who does leatherworking and skinning. I often run out of materials, especially in Legion, and I'm having to go out and farm new materials. So I set a goal of 600 and I go out and I get them. And it doesn't matter if I farm them myself or if I buy them, it still counts them, and it'll say that I have to get X amount more. Flight map enhanced and times. I haven't noticed the times part of that, but the flight map enhanced basically improves the flight map. I'm going to say vanilla. Vanilla means unchanged, by the way. The vanilla flight map in WoW, without any add-ons, literally looks shite. It looks horrible. You can't zoom into it. You have to be careful, and there are a lot of flight paths in some areas. Whereas my one, I can zoom in and go, right, that one there. And it will also show me where I have quests. So it'll show me, right, that's the flight path nearest to the quest you have. Go to that one. Which is amazingly handy. Garrison Mission Manager basically makes suggestions as to who to send on Garrison missions, which is very handy, so I don't have to figure that shit out. Since it's the most boring part of the game is the Garrison and the Order Hall missions, because you have to go, okay, who can do this mission? Who has the things I need to do that mission? And all that, and it will tell you, if you click this button, you've got a 100% chance of completing this mission successfully, and off you go. It just puts in the guys that have the right thing. If you don't have anybody that can counter certain things that have to be countered or do certain things that have to be done, you'll never get to 100% on the thing. It doesn't improve your chances of completing a mission. It just tells you your chances of completing a mission if you use these specific characters that you can send off on the missions. Handy Notes adds more information to the maps, hence the name Handy Notes, such as in Legion and in Warlords of Draenor areas. I don't know about Pandaria because I tend to try and skip that, but in Warlords of Draenor and Legion, so in Draenor and in the Broken Isles, it will add little things like there's a treasure chest over here. There's rare NPC over there. If you kill them, you get certain loots and all, special loots and all that. And it'll tell you what those rare NPCs drop, so you know which one to go for. It doesn't tell you if they're definitely there, but it tells you this is where they should be. So if it's spawned, that's where it'll be, which is dead handy. As you can see, that's the basic Handy Notes, but then you need to have specific parts. Like without the Broken Shore one, I wouldn't have that. Without this, I kept getting lost in my Druid's Order Hall, which is actually a mini zone, and everything is spread out all over the place, and I hadn't got a fucking clue where anything was after I finished leveling up my hunter. So that helped. This one apparently shows Pandaria treasures, which I didn't even know there were, because as I said, I tend to try and avoid it, but eventually I'm gonna not be able to avoid it, I think. Surmar and Shal Aran Telemancy. That is a zone specific one. There's these things that are difficult to find, and this basically puts them on the map, making it easier for you to know what direction to go in. Draenor treasures, dungeon locations. This is fucking amazing. I'm never going to get lost looking for a dungeon if I want to go in as a high-end character, because with the LFG at the moment, which is looking for a group, you just click the button, you select your job. Are you going to be damage? Are you going to be tank? Are you going to be a healer? And off you go. Now, obviously, the jobs you can only select what your character can do. So, for example, a mage cannot be a healer, they cannot be a tank, so they're always going to be damage. But you still select your role, and it puts you in a group as soon as the group is available, and you go into the dungeon, and you kill your way through it, and you never need know where that dungeon is. Which is annoying when you want to go farming for transmogs and things like that. So this points out where those dungeons are. It's in the Broken Isles, they put in a built-in thing that puts a little circle where the dungeons are to signify there's a portal to a dungeon here. Blue for a dungeon, green for a raid. This does the exact same thing throughout the rest of the game. Eagle Flight Network is a hunter-specific one, and so on. I'm not going to go through every single handy notes thing. Identity 2 basically allows you to, if you're in a guild and you have multiple alts in that guild, you can use Identity 2 to have it so that whenever you chat, no matter which one of your alts you're on, it will come up as this specific name so that people will know who you are. They won't be confused about who the guild, whether or not such and such a person is the guild master on their alt or not. There's no need to take up the guild notes space saying that this character is such and such a person's alt. You just lead them to it and get them to use Identity 2. I'm gonna have to look up how to use it again because I want to start using it again. Improved Blood Trader. There's a Blood Trader in Legion that basically sells you things trades you things for a Blood of Sargeras. Now, they will only trade you one thing for one of the things at a time for one Blood of Sargeras. So, I can't buy 5 of the chests that contain Order Hall resources using my Blood of Sargeras and then go on my merry way by just shift clicking the way you would with a normal vendor. This basically gives me the shift click ability. I've noticed it doesn't work well above 12. I'm completely unsure as to what this one is. Okay, it gives more information about what items somebody got in a dungeon. That's always a bit handy so that you know. They put in a thing into WoW that allows you to trade an item with somebody who did a dungeon with you, if they're able to use it. And if they were there when you killed the boss, if it's a boss drop. So if it's rubbish for you, you no longer have to just vendor it or disenchant it. You can give it to somebody who has a use for it and will benefit from it. It's up to you whether or not you do it, but it's a handy thing to do. Right. This one is brilliant. There's invasions going on throughout the Broken Isles. Every 12 hours or something like that, there's a new invasion. But the invasions, well, not every 12 hours. The invasions happen at odd times of the day and night. This gives you a countdown. So it detects the in-game information about it that's there somewhere. And it just displays a little countdown saying next invasion will be in this amount of time. So it picks up on how it's either programmed with it, I'm not sure, but it knows how long between the invasions. And when an invasion starts in a zone, it will tell you what zone it's in and how long that invasion will last. And then when the invasion's over, it will tell you how long until the next one, and it keeps going around like that. Max DPS is basically something that tells me what the best attacks are for my character. I've got one for every class. My Roleplay adds a little tab onto your character tab that allows you to create a roleplay story so you can say whatever you want in there. But be aware that if you're new to RP, there are certain things that will be frowned upon. I'll leave it up to you to look them up because I don't give a fuck. I just do a basic thing that isn't going to be completely frowned upon. Threat meter comes in handy because it lets you know who has the most amount of threat and everything like that. It's amazingly handy. Threat is what is what gets NPCs to target a specific character. So in a dungeon, you want the tank to have the most amount of threat. This one allows me to track the Pathfinder achievement, which I still haven't completed for Warlords of Draenor. I did, however, complete it for Legion. Pawn tells me what equipment is actually an upgrade for my character, so that I don't have to figure things like that out. It'll tell me this new pair of boots is a 14% upgrade over my last pair of boots for this specific spec, and it's got all the information that it needs to know, and you just basically get a little green arrow on it telling you there's an upgrade. If you mouse over the item, it tells you what percentage of an upgrade, so it's up to you whether or not you use them. Another pet one that basically adds information to the pet journal. Postal allows me to open all mail at once. I think they built this into the game, but I've had this installed for so long, I'm too lazy to uninstall it and check to see how good or bad the Blizzard one is. That I'm not sure what it is exactly. It works with one of my other add-ons. Every time I click into one of them, it goes back. Recount is great. It tells you how much healing you've done or received, how much damage you've done, total damage done, or damage per second, and lots of other things in there. It's great. There are other ones that can tell you what your damage per second is and things like that, but I use Recount. Right. Sell junk is a great little one. It puts a little button at the top of the vendor thing, and it sells all the junk I have. Right. Server restart sound basically makes a sound when the server is going to restart. TomTom, I think it's what allows the coordinates things to work. Transmog tokens. Let's see. Alright, there's tokens you sometimes get in old raids, and the transmog tokens thing tells you whether or not that token can be used to get an appearance that you need for a transmog. So if you have the appearance, so that you don't just vendor these things for the 5 gold that you'll get for them, because you often have to go looking for a specific trader to trade these things with. This basically opens a little chat window whenever somebody whispers you, and it can keep a history log for a certain amount of time. You can tell it how long to keep it for, so that you know what was said last night while you were drinking and playing World of Warcraft. So you won't have to rely on somebody else to tell you what you did. Withered Bar basically gives me information about the Withered in the Ferma region. When you do certain quests, you are in control of an army of Withered, and you have to have a certain amount of them to open certain doors, to open certain chests, and to do all that shit. And this allows you to keep track of them a bit better than having to hope that they stand still long enough for you to count them. World Quest Tracker basically shows me all the world quests on the map, and gives me directions to them and gives me information about them. World Quest List does a similar thing, but when the map isn't full screen, gives me a list to the side of all the world quests and quests that I've got available. Only quests that I've actually picked up will show up, not ones that I have yet to pick up. So it doesn't tell me that there's a quest I haven't done, with the exception of world quests. World quests that only shows you ones you haven't done, because it can only show you what's available for you to do. And World Flight Map is another, improves the world flights, improves the flight map even further beyond what the previous one I mentioned shows you. It may be kind of redundant, but I like having the two of them because the two of them combined give me something that I feel comfortable with using. Right. This is the Curse client. It's currently set to World of Warcraft, selected on World of Warcraft. There's the Secret World. I haven't got any add-ons for that. And there's the Elder Scrolls Online. I haven't got any add-ons for that. It detects whatever games you have installed that can use add-ons. It used to detect Skyrim, but it doesn't anymore. Okay. Now, there's the website if you want to just see that for yourselves. The next thing I'll be showing you guys is Tuck UI. And bloody hell, this has been a long ass vid. Well, happy Sunday. Although Saturday for me. You can see the date right here. Alright. This is the client that you'd be using to get the following add-on. Well, add-ons. Right. So, there's the location life for LVUI. This manages it. Not that. Stat priorities tells me what stats are important to my character, and LVUI allows me to allows you or me or anybody who's using it to change the layout of the UI for World of Warcraft and change the look of it. It's still basically the same UI, you've just made it more usable for you. I'll do another one of this next week to show you how to set up LVUI, because half an hour is a bit long for a vid anyway. So thank you for watching, and as always, remember, play to game and game to play.